Could you please introduce yourselves and share your roles within Woman to Woman? Rachel, maybe you could go first.
My name is Rachel Justice, and I am the program manager of Woman to Woman along with my partner, Jillian Levinson.
Hi, I'm Jillian Levinson. As Rachel said, I am her partner, co-managing the Woman to Woman program.
Hi, my name is Trisha Clark, and I'm a volunteer mentor with the Woman to Woman program.
Okay, so 2023 is Woman to Woman's 20th anniversary. Rachel, could you please share how Woman to Woman began?
Absolutely. So, as you just heard, Woman to Woman began 20 years ago this year. And it was the vision of Valerie Goldfein, who was a gynecologic cancer patient. And on paper, she had every resource you can imagine to go through her cancer journey. She had wonderful family. She was well educated. She was health literate. She had a lot of resources at her disposal. Yet she felt that it was still one of the most traumatizing and isolating and overwhelming experiences she had ever gone through. And she made a vow that if she got through her treatment successfully, which thankfully she did, that no woman would ever feel that way again, and that no woman would ever have to face gynecologic cancer alone. So she paired up with her doctor and with a wonderful social worker, Jillian and my predecessor, and they conceived Woman to Woman. And the initial founding part of Woman to Woman was peer mentoring. So women like Trisha, who are survivors, would get paired with newly diagnosed women to be able to share the experience and provide support from the perspective of someone who had actually been there. And that was the initial brainchild of Woman to Woman.
Jillian, could you please talk about how Woman to Woman has evolved over the past 20 years and what the current program offers to help support gynecologic cancer patients?
Sure. So when Woman to Woman was founded in 2003, it was founded by 5 survivor volunteers who provided peer mentorship in person and via phone. As of today, we're proud that we have 39 survivor volunteers who provide support again in person at the Mount Sinai sites, in the community, and via phone, email. Um, when Valerie created the program, it was really important for her to provide financial assistance. And from that concept to now, it has tremendously grown. In 2022, we gave 249 grants, which totaled in $63,000, about like a little less than $64,000. And that grew tremendously even from the previous year. So in the previous year, we gave about $34,000. So it about doubled just in that one year. So it grew from nothing to the double to now where we are today. In terms of support groups, um, you know, Valerie thought it was important to have peer mentorship, individual support. And while that is the cornerstone of our program, we've also expanded to group support. Prior to the COVID pandemic, we had in-person support groups. And our last in-person support group was in February 20, our last in-person, I'm so sorry, in-person groups was in February 2020, and we had 23 people attend those groups. In 2022, we offered 143 groups, and we had a little over than 2,000 women join. So we've learned that we could connect with people not just in person, which is our cornerstone, but also virtually providing general education and support and really meeting people where they are. We've also created a lot of niche programming, and that is one of our goals in the future is to further develop that. But what this means is while all women, our community has gynecologic cancer, that's not the only thing that connects them. And so we've created support in Spanish. We've created support for people who are in their 20s and 30s diagnosed. We're creating programming for the LGBTQ community because we want to make sure that we're reaching and providing more diversity. And I'd say the last part of our program that's really grown is creating another arm to our financial assistance is that we've created a behavioral health program where we will cover sessions for people in treatment with oncology social workers. We will provide a certain amount of money and they can choose who they're seeing, whether it's a private provider, someone that we have contracts with. The point being that we want to make sure that we're covering their emotional health, their mental health, in addition to their medical support.
Wow, that's amazing. Um, okay, great. The next question, Trisha, is for you. Could you please describe how you initially learned about Woman to Woman and how you decided to become a volunteer with the program?
Sure. I initially learned about woman to woman while I was recovering in the hospital. Auden Moulton, who was the former woman to woman program manager, she approached me to share about the community and to explain that it exists to support women who have received a gynecological cancer diagnosis and to share the process for what it means like to be in the community, especially because those in the community were women who had an intimate understanding of what it means to receive such a diagnosis. At the time, I didn't think I needed the woman to woman community. I felt that I could handle everything about this diagnosis with the support of family, friends, coworkers. But I quickly realized that there were some things that either I didn't want to discuss with others because I thought they either couldn't understand what I was experiencing or they just weren't aware of everything that went along with this diagnosis. So I contacted Auden with an enthusiastic request to join the community. And almost immediately, I was partnered with the most wonderful of volunteers, Murtice Wooden. Her calm and gentle demeanor kept me at ease. She always listened attentively and encouraged me each step of the way, especially when I was afraid about different parts of the process. Even when I was confused, Murtice was there to explain things. And over time, she quickly became a dear friend and a sister in this journey. So I became a volunteer mentor because of my experience with Murtice. I wanted to be there for other women in their time of need, as Murtice had always been for me. And after 2 years, I was ready, but I had to wait until I had passed the 5 year mark. And it has now been 8 years serving as a volunteer with Woman to Woman.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Um, okay, this next question is for Rachel. Can you speak about what has remained the same during 2 decades of Woman to Woman and what will never change?
Absolutely. As you heard from Jillian, we have grown by leaps and bounds after over the past 20 years. In the past year alone, she's explained that some of our numbers in terms of attendees for support groups, have vastly surpassed the year before and the amount of money we have given. But I think that our mission um, will remain exactly what Valerie's original goal was, and that will never change, no matter how big we get, no matter how many support groups we offer. And that is that no woman should ever have to face gynecologic cancer alone. That is the common thread that runs through all of our programming, whether it is virtual programming, one-on-one relationships with peer mentors, the grants that we give. Everything that we do is geared to help a woman who has been diagnosed with gynecologic cancer realize that she is not alone. She is part of a community that embraces her, that wants her here, that is here to provide resources, including financial resources, emotional resources, educational resources, and whatever else she might need to get through this potentially traumatizing experience with as much support as possible. And again, no matter what happens in the next 20, 40, 60, 80, 100 years, we will make sure that any woman who chooses to become part of our community is embraced and feels the support and the warmth that Woman to Woman has to offer.
Great. Okay. Thank you. How has Woman to Woman influenced other programs or communities across the country?
So, in terms of the way Woman to Woman has influenced outside organizations. There are a few distinct ways that that has happened. So in 2011, what is now the Ovarian Cancer Research Alliance, it has gone through a few other names, contacted our predecessor, Arden Moulton, with the idea of, for lack of a better word, franchising Woman to Woman. The model that was created here at Mount Sinai in 2003 is pretty simple. It's you find women that have gone through their gynecologic cancer journey and would like to give back. There's a quote that's on a lot of our brochures. It's an old Chinese proverb that says, "To know the road ahead, ask ask those looking back." And there are a lot of women throughout the entire country, not just in New York City, who would like to be able to be in a position to help those who are behind them on that road of gynecologic cancer. And so, through the Ovarian Cancer Research Alliance, Woman to Woman has now been replicated in both hospitals and community based organizations throughout the country. There are almost 40 different sites, and each one has its own culture, its own way of doing business, and they're just amazing. We're lucky enough that we have regular program coordinator calls with the other sites, and we all learn from each other and share ideas. There have been some wonderful collaborations that have come out of that. As an example, we partner with several of the other programs to offer a quarterly newly diagnosed panel. We believe that we all have the exact same goal and mission, which is, as we said before, that no woman should have to face gynecologic cancer alone. And we're happy to do that in conjunction with these other wonderful programs. We also did have the privilege in 2017 of having representatives from our program go over to Vietnam through the Global Focus on Cancer organization, which was founded by one of our wonderful patients. And we trained 240 women in Vietnam to be peer mentors to women who were newly diagnosed with cancer. So we are very proud of the fact that we had the opportunity to make such a difference in an under-resourced country that could really benefit from the support and help.
Great. Thank you. Now this next question is for Jillian. Jillian, could you please share some future goals for Woman to Woman?
Sure. We have some short-term goals, and then we have the longer-term goals. Immediately, we'd really love to increase our financial support for our patients. That would include our general patient assistance fund for our mental health, for our transportation, our fertility preservations, our groceries. We determine how many people we can help and how much we can based upon how we are doing financially, and that's all based upon um, you know supporters of Woman to Woman. So one goal is to increase our financial assistance. The next is to restart live events such as our Woman to Woman reunion and our young patient programming. We are hoping to resume our Woman to Woman reunion this fall. It's been a long time since we've all gathered in person, and we know that our community really would love to start doing that again. I mentioned earlier that we do have programming with the goal to be inclusive and welcoming to our whole patient population, and that's something that we want to continue to do. We've recently established an LGBTQ support group for people living with cancer, and we hope to expand that. We're also in the process of developing a program for women of color. At some point, we'd also like to create programming for those who were Asian background and gynecologic cancer. Something that we've had before, and now we're trying to reestablish that, is a wig program. We previously, before the COVID pandemic, had a wig program of natural hair for people in treatment. Our goal is to reestablish that, and we're in the works of doing that. And I think a longer term goal is community outreach. We would really love to spread awareness about gynecologic cancer, what the symptoms are, and connecting people to care. So rather than talking just to our patients who have the diagnosis, really try to spread the education from mentors, what they experienced, symptoms that they had, and connecting to our fantastic doctors at Mount Sinai.
Great. Thank you so much. And this last question, Trisha, is for you. Trisha, what do you want the community to know about Woman to Woman as we celebrate the 20th anniversary?
Sure. I first would like to say that Woman to Woman has been in my life for the past 12 years, from my cancer diagnosis through treatment in ongoing remission and as a survivor volunteer. And that Woman to Woman is committed to women who have been diagnosed with a gynecological cancer, but it also exists to support the full woman. And at the helm of the program, Rachel and Julian have worked, continue to work to provide social, emotional, financial support, and more. But the program also organizes opportunities for us to connect with each other, to learn, to have fun, to be pampered, and again, so much more. With that, I want the community to know how much we appreciate the work that Rachel and Jillian do, how much the program means for current patients, for current survivor mentors, and how much the program is really serious about being there for any woman who has received a diagnosis of a gynecological cancer and really needs to continue to be supported in every way to continue to do the work that began with Valerie. So I just want to say thank you for all that Woman to Woman does, and look forward to all that it will continue to do.
Great. Well, I think that's it.
Can I just jump in for one thing as well, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
Just sort of jumping on the coattails of Trisha's beautiful words. We want to thank you for this opportunity because, as Jillian mentioned, everything that we do is completely reliant on the support of the community. Our program is 100% philanthropically funded. So without our generous donors, we could not offer the grants that we provide. And as Jillian mentioned, that includes everything from groceries to mental health to fertility preservation to rent to medical copays. We would not be able to get some of the expert speakers that we are able to recruit to share information and education and resources to our patients. We would not be able to print brochures. We have a wonderful card, questions to ask your doctor when you're first diagnosed. Every single thing that we do is based on the generosity of our supporter base and on awareness like this forum that we have right now. So we did just want to say a big thank you to you for giving us all this platform, and also a huge thank you to Trisha on behalf of the rest of the volunteers who give so selflessly of themselves. It's a very special person who has gone through something like what you've gone through and decides to use it to help other people. So we're just incredibly grateful to everybody. So just wanted to share that.
Okay, great. That was so nice. Thank you guys so much for your participation.